Hey, courageous school leaders. Welcome to Lead Beyond Limits, the space where school leaders like you gain unfiltered insights from educators, uncover the hidden barriers holding your staff back, and get practical strategies to lead with confidence. If you're ready to tackle the real challenges in your schools and create the clarity your team needs to thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and get to work.
Hello, courageous leaders. This is Dr. Demia here, and happy Monday. I hope you all are having a fantastic Monday and that you had a great weekend. So let's jump into it. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Demia, and I've been in education since the early 90s. So it's been a while. I've had many different roles as a principal, district leader, teacher. At my heart, at my core, I am a teacher. And for those of you who are back, welcome back. So welcome back to Lead Beyond Limits, where leaders like you get practical strategies, decision-making tools, and systems to lead with clarity, not confusion. So if you've been showing up for this summer series that I've been doing, you already know we are not here for quick tips, right? We're here to control the narrative of your leadership. Lead with confidence and build a legacy that outlasts your to-do list. So today's episode hits a nerve because we're talking about the thing that so many school leaders are afraid to admit out loud. I know I was. You're surrounded by help, but still doing too much yourself. It can burn you out. And it's not because your team doesn't care. It's because the system of ownership doesn't exist yet. Leaving the power of yet. So here's the problem, is that help looks good, but it's holding you back. So let's name what's real. You delegate tasks, you assign roles, you even share responsibilities, but somehow everything still runs through you. That's when you realize that that is not leadership. That's the bottleneck. That's you actually being the system, which is going to lead you to burnout. So here's what it may sound like in your building, right? Oh, I thought they were following up, or they're waiting for me to tell them what to do next, or I keep reminding them, but it doesn't stick. And the truth is, you're exhausted from doing it. I know I was. Early in my school leadership career, I was exhausted because I felt like I was doing all of the work. Because delegation without true ownership will always circle back to you. Let me say that again. Delegation without true ownership will always circle back to you. So here's where I want to introduce the OR framework of ownership, accountability, and reflection. So to move your team from helping to hustling, like getting it done, is you don't need more delegation strategies, right? We know to delegate, but there's something that has to come after with that, not afterward, but with it. You need to shift the culture. And I talk about culture repeatedly because it is so critical. The data that you're collecting, the soft data, the fact that staff are coming back to you, how many times during a day, take a tally, this is your data. How many times during the day are staff coming back to you to ask you questions, to filter things through you that they know that you know that they should be doing, right? That's your indicator. So you need to shift the culture, and that starts with what I call the OR framework, because if you're going to steer your school forward, you need every leader rowing in rhythm. That's what an OR does, right? Everyone is moving at the same time. You're covering more ground, the more everybody is moving together, like one band, one sound, right? That's the OR. The O stands for ownership, right? Define your ownership. Identify like identify who has the responsibilities, right? So the question you ask yourself when you're thinking about ownership is what work actually belongs to your team? You have to sit down and think about that. And the summer is the prime time to do this. Not just what they can help with, but what they can own the outcome for, right? Because that's what ownership is how is this person owning the outcome? Ownership means like naming the result. What is the outcome? Not just the role, not just going through the role and the motions, but the outcome because of this role. It means letting go of the belief that only you can make that final call. So this does require that you have to do some self-reflection and let go some of the control, right? So this matters. You may be asking, like, why does this even matter? Well, without clear ownership, even the strongest team members will hesitate because they don't know who owns what. They'll wait instead of actually leading, which is the antithesis of what you want your leadership team to do. You'll stay and feel stuck in the loop of doing it all. You'll never get out of the cycle. So now is the time. Summer is the best time for you to clarify what's theirs versus what's yours, right? Before the pace picks up when kids are back in the building. So that is the O, ownership, and the OR framework. The A is accountability, right? We know that word accountability lives and breathes in public education. The A for accountability, the question that you need to ask yourself is, what are the visible checkpoints that show the work is moving, right? Think of it like benchmarks. And this is something you need to think through in terms of the role. This is where the backward thinking comes into play. So as you are defining the roles and what you want to occur as a result of that role, the ownership, what is the outcome, you need to create now benchmarks moving backward. At quarter one, what should be happening for us to meet our end goal at the end of the year? At the end of quarter two, what should happen that indicates that we are meeting the mark for the end of the year? And in quarter three, where should we be to make sure that we're meeting the mark at the end of the year? So what are the visible checkpoints that show that this work is moving? Accountability is not micromanagement. I have worked with leaders who have made this have confused these two. Micromanagement doesn't, being hands off is counter to your goal. This idea of accountability is actually leadership clarity, because you have data checkpoints that you will have conversations with members of your leadership team on and with and about throughout these checkpoints to make sure that they are making the mark. And I'm not saying do it every quarter. I'm saying you need to do it every week, but every quarter you're actually revisiting the goal to see what needs to be pivoted, what needs to be adjusted for quarter two, right? Your team needs structure around when to check in, how success is tracked, right? What happens if the work stalls? They need the check-in. That is the support that you as the school leader provide your leadership team. This matters because without accountability systems, even the well-intentioned work will fall through the cracks. Then you're left chasing updates, following up and repeating instructions, things that you really do not have time for. So right before the year starts, this is when you need to be planning. And I keep stressing the summer. People think the summer is, oh, you have the summer off, you have a great job, blah, blah, blah. Summer is when the work really is. During the school year is when you're acting out, living the plan, but the summer is when you are actually creating the plan. So right now, use these meetings that you have with your leadership team that is in the building, your assistant principals, your 12-month staff who are on the leadership team, use summer planning meetings to agree on the rhythm and the check-ins. You create it yourself, and then you share it with them. Okay? The check-ins, the team huddles, the review cycles. Create that calendar now. I did it, and it was an amazing document that freed up a lot of my thinking and my headspace and actual physical time during the school year because it was all laid out. The R in OR, the OR framework, is reflection. And so for reflection, the question that you should be asking yourself for this is, what space do you give your team to learn from what's working and what's not? So these individual check-ins are absolutely essential, but coming together as a team collectively for the whole picture is critical for success, okay? So when you are asking yourself this question about, what space have you created for your team to learn from what's working and what's not, what I have seen is a lot of times school leaders will do this at the end of the year, which is great to do it at the end of the year, but you have to do it throughout the year as well. So this reflection will help build your team's confidence because you're having conversations, you're collaborating, right? You're adjusting the course, you're improving without your constant input. So, and when you do this, it actually transforms your staff from executors, right, from a plan to actually becoming leaders, which is what you want, to avoid the bottleneck, to avoid you being the system. So when reflection is built into the culture, it becomes the norm, right? Your team gets better without needing permission from you. And that's when you actually shift from your team being help to actually hustling and getting the work done. How you can build this in is, for example, in week 1, you need to build and bake this reflection into team meeting time, not as a bonus, right? Like this reflection time should be a norm. Have your leadership team, give them all journals that they should bring with them for this reflective piece and this reflective time. Make it important for you and for them. You have a journal as well. You're sitting and reflecting and taking some time to reflect as well, right? So the truth is, ownership is not a personality trait. It is a culture signal. It indicates your culture in your building, and it sets the tone. It lets people know that this is how we operate here. And it's your job as a school leader to set that. You know that, right? But now we need to work on how or build upon what you've already established by using this OR method and making sure that the R is really a part of your weekly engagement with your team that you're building in this time. Okay? So right now, if this conversation is actually heading home with you, I need you to pause, and I want you to grab your clarity and confidence reflection guide. Grab that now, right? Whether it's on your desktop or you printed it out, grab it now. So inside, you will find some prompts in there. If you don't have it, then send me a message and I can send you the link and you can download it. So inside, you'll find prompts to help you in your thinking and planning, right? So what I need you to do is I want you to audit what's really on your plate versus what your team could carry. Audit that, write it all down. And sometimes, I know whenever I do this, I miss a lot of things until I actually do it. Then I'm like, oh yeah, let me write that down, right? Then I want you to clarify your expectations, right? What are the expectations that need to shift from help, from it feeling like your leadership team is helping you, to actual ownership? They need to own the work that they're doing. And then the third thing I need you to do is to reflect on where you're intentionally reinforcing dependence. Where are you stepping in when you don't need to? Where are you making it feel like your leadership team, like making them unintentionally making them feel like you don't trust their judgment? So this is you putting the mirror to yourself to see where you as a leader can pivot so that you can really support and grow your team so they own this work and actually hustling to do this work, right? From a different space other than helping, right? Because there's a way that your team can look like they're hustling and bustling, which they are, because you all are working hard, but they're doing it to help you instead of actually owning the work. So I need you to really take the mirror in this point when you're reflecting and reflect on where you are unintentionally reinforcing dependence. This is where you start to control your narrative, okay? Not by doing more, but by expecting, but by expecting more from, your team, from the system that you've built, okay? So hoping this resonates with you. Hit me in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking. What are some next steps that you are planning right now because of this conversation? So just as a reminder, delegation, we talk about it, and delegation keeps the wheels turning, right? Like it's moving, but ownership moves the work forward without dragging you and without you having to drag it all day or dragging you through it, because now you're not the system anymore. So if you're tired of the one who's always like following up, always initiates, always feels like filling in the gaps, then this is your call to reset your structure. So here are some leadership moves. Name 3 responsibilities your team will fully own this year. 3. Define what success looks like. What is the outcome? What is the goal for each of those responsibilities? What do you want to see at the end of the year? And now you're going to set checkpoints before August. Set the checkpoints. What is it going to look like when you see this ownership being successful in meeting this ownership? That's your responsibility for the summer, and some leadership moves that you should be engaging in right now. So if you're not sure where the breakdown is, or if you're quietly falling through cracks, you see the work falling through, or you realize that you are the system, this is exactly what my Tier 1 service provides for you, a done-for-you leadership review. That's what it's built for. You send me your leadership team meeting agendas, the calendars, the walkthrough plans, whatever you've been using to drive the work. And I send back an expert analysis of themes, patterns, what's wrong, what's slipping, what to do next. So you can book your analysis call now, or you direct message me and I can schedule a time to talk through it more. Or I will actually put the link down below to get you to booking that done for you review. So next week, we're going to close out this summer series with episode 4, with part 4, model or miss it, like why your culture feels off and how to fix it, right? How to get started strong. So because presence isn't an option, it's not optional. Your presence is a culture setter. So until then, I want you to keep reflecting, because that is critical for the summertime. Keep realigning. And remember, this is how we lead beyond limits. I'll see you next week.